Hey, what is up, everybody? Today is a history-making day. If it's today, it will be tomorrow because I don't know when this video is going to get uploaded. Because this is going to be the first time ever in CM Brothers history that you're going to get two videos of the same series, and that's going to be called What's Better, Raw or Smackdown? Because I gave you last week's Raw and Smackdown reviews. Yesterday actually. I gave you the episode yesterday, and now you get the episode today. I don't exactly know what this episode is, so please just look down on the title down below, and let's just get right into it. So we're gonna find out what's better this week. SmackDown really needs to up its game up, because last week Raw was better, and SmackDown needs to tie Raw because right now Raw is beating SmackDown, which is not good. Which is not good for SmackDown. So tonight on Raw, we have a fairly good episode of Raw that we'll look into, I guess. We have two championship matches. The first one's going to be a WWE Raw Tag Team Championship match between WWE Raw Tag Team Champions The New Day versus Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. It's not going to really be a bad match. It's just we've seen it before. I don't really need to see it again, so it's just And then we're going to have, I guess, the rematch. It's going to be the WWE Raw Women's Championship match. WWE Raw Women's Champion Charlotte versus Sasha Banks. Now, I really don't mind seeing these two together in a match. They have great chemistry together, but this should have been over at Hell in a Cell. Why isn't it over at Hell in a Cell? I don't know, but it's just not. So it's just like, it's just like, come on, you know what I'm saying? They really should have had this feud over. Sasha Banks should have walked out of Hell in a Cell with the Raw Women's title, but that didn't happen. So, you know, it's just kind of sucks we have to see this match again. They have good matches, but it's like a lot of the matches that they're doing are rehashed on the show. We have you have Anderson and Gallows versus The New Day. We've seen every variation. We've seen it when it's been Big E and Kofi versus Gallows and Anderson, Big E and Xavier Woods versus Gallows and Anderson, and Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston versus Gallows and Anderson. We've seen every variation of The New Day, and we've seen Sasha Banks versus Charlotte. We've seen it in a one-on-one match several times, and now we've seen they even main evented Raw a few weeks ago, and now we've seen it in Hell in a Cell, the place where you end feuds, and it's just they're doing it again. It's just like So it's like, but the matches are good, so I'm not like, it's not like I'm not completely looking forward to Raw, but it's just like But let's get to Raw. Okay, so now we have the show itself. We have Corey Graves, Michael Cole, and Byron Saxton on commentary for this show. And the first thing that happens is we get the highlight reel with Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens says, talks about how this is the first time in history that the same guy has been a guest on the highlight reel for 2 weeks in a row. It's a history-making moment, and JYKO are talking about that. Kevin Owens said that this past week was Thanksgiving, and JYKO say that Canada does it better. Canada's way ahead of the game because they have their Thanksgiving a month before they do. And Kevin Owens makes fun of us Americans for celebrating Thanksgiving. We pretend to like our families for one day of the year, and then we go out and have one final meal before we go do our Black Friday shopping. And he says that then we try to get $60 less deal on a crappy flat screen TV, which I love that he said that. And then Kevin Owens, but they said they're going to humor them. They said that they're going to say what they're thankful for. And Kevin Owens says that he's thankful for being your Universal Champion, for being the face of Monday Night Raw, also known as the Kevin Owens Show. And I forget what else he said he was thankful. He said he's thankful for his friendship with Chris Jericho. And Chris Jericho says that he's thankful for his friendship with Kevin Owens as well. He said that he's thankful for the scarf, and Kevin Owens says, and there's anchors on it because we're the anchors of Monday Night Raw. And Chris Jericho said that he's thankful for Seth Rollins that he failed to beat Kevin Owens for the WWE Universal Championship. And he makes it a point to say that Kevin Owens did it fair and square, all on his own. Chris Jericho was banned from ringside, and he said he said that he was nowhere near the match last week. And he said that last week it was not him in a Sin Cara mask, but it was Sin Cara in a Chris Jericho mask, which was weird. So I like that he kind of did that spin. So, and then Kevin Owens then says that it looked really familiar too. It was like it was like looking in a mirror. Jericho says, "I know." And then Roman Reigns comes out, and he says that this he says that they're having a lot. He says it looks like you guys are having some fun out here. And Chris Jericho says, "We're not here to have fun for these stupid idiots out here." And he cuts a pretty good promo about how they're serious. And Roman Reigns says, I think this is a joke. I don't think this... And Jericho's like, do you think this is a joke? And Roman says, I don't think this is a joke, but I think you as WWE... I think Kevin Owens is a WWE Universal... Let me say that. I don't think this is a joke, but I think Kevin Owens is the WWE Universal Champion is a joke. And then Kevin Owens tries to get his words out, but at first he's botching. So then he's like... he's just got me all Rollins up, because now every time they say Rollins, now every time they refer to failure, they refer to it as Rollins. And Jericho said it's okay. They know that English isn't your first language. And Kevin Owens says that that he's a great Universal Champion, and he says that when this isn't a joke. I am the most successful Universal Champion of all time. And Roman Reigns says that if it wasn't for that, Chris Jericho was the reason you're still the WWE Universal Champion, because if it wasn't for him, you would have lost that title. He says pretty much a ton of times. Kevin Owens says that he's the man on Monday. What do they call you, the man? And then Roman Reigns says, yes, I am the man. No, not the man, but the guy. And he says that and you're just a guy. And then when Roman Reigns makes fun of Chris Jericho says, you know what happens to people who make fun of my best friend Kevin Owens? And he's about to put him on the list, but then Kevin Owens says, shut up! And he says, I got this one. And after this, Chris Jericho looked really depressed when he couldn't put Roman Reigns on the list. Like, he looked upset. And it was kind of funny. But Kevin Owens says that if you make fun of me, then I'm gonna take you outside. I would take you on the outside and powerbomb you on the apron, just like I did to Seth Rollins last week. And Roman Reigns says, "This is the Kevin Owens I want to see. I don't want to see joke Owens joke. I want to see fight Owens fight." So Roman Reigns challenges him to a match tonight. And if Roman Reigns can beat Kevin Owens, he wants a WWE Universal Championship match at WWE Roadblock, the end. And Kevin Owens accepts, and then that was the end of the segment. Overall, I thought it was a pretty good opening segment. I really wasn't a fan of Roman Reigns on the mic here, though. It's just not a strong point, but I thought he did okay on the mic, not terrible. Jericho, I thought Jericho killed it out here, and when Chris Jericho was all upset that he couldn't put him on the list, I thought that just nailed it out of the park. But overall, this segment got accomplished what it needed to accomplish, so I thought it did good in that regard. Okay, so now Jericho's backstage, and Kevin Owens is upset that Roman Reigns said that he's not a real champion, and Chris Jericho's like, why did you tell me to shut up, and why did you say you don't really need me? Because anytime you've needed me, I've been there for you because I'm your best friend. And Kevin Owens says, you think you're helping me, but you're not. You're hurting me because you make it look like that I can't defend this championship by myself. And Chris Jericho says, well, maybe that's how it should be then. I don't need you as an ally, and I don't need you as a partner, and I don't need you as a best friend. And then Mick Foley comes up and says that the match between Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens is now official. And he tells Jericho, you've been trying to duck me all week. And then Jericho says, you know what? You don't need to worry about it, because I'm never going to be there for Kevin Owens ever again. Good luck tonight, champ. Then he leaves, and then that was it. So I don't know if there's going to be any match from this or what. So I kind of hope it goes in that direction. Or maybe it'll be a swerve, or Jericho comes out later, or like doing his title defense or whatever. So I'm not sure. And then We had Braun Strowman versus R-Truth with Goldust ringside, and Braun Strowman wins with a running power slam just like that, which obviously I like that he did that. Makes him look like a monster. Then afterwards, Goldust was checking on R-Truth, and Strowman had an eye on him. So Goldust attacked Strowman, trying to defend himself because he knew that Strowman was going to be attacking him next. But then Strowman throws Goldust in the corner, splashes him, and then he gets him into that weird choke that he used to do when he first came into the company, which I hate that he does that because it doesn't look that impressive. And then Sami Zayn comes out and attacks Strowman, and he does the best he can, but eventually Strowman catches him with a wicked clothesline, and he catches him with by choking him, and then he just tosses him down, and he beats the crap out of him. He hits a face-first powerbomb on him, and then he goes to beat him up some more, but then officials, and then eventually Mick Foley come out and tell him to stop. So obviously, I like this because it made Strowman look like a monster, and I guess it makes, but like I said, why couldn't Sami Zayn stand tall? I don't know why. You know, that was kind of dumb, but overall, Strowman looked like a monster, was good, and the backstage segment was good. So yeah. Okay, so next, Mick Foley and Sami Zayn were bickering at each other, and Sami Zayn's even saying, "I'm not a charity case. You don't need to treat me like a charity case." So then Byron Saxton steps in and interviews Mick Foley, and he asks him, like, this is the second time you've had to come and save Sami Zayn. Mick Foley gets on the mic and says, yes, this is the second time I've had to save Sami Zayn because Sami Zayn has so much hurt that he needs to be saved from himself because he could cause himself to get seriously injured in the WWE. And then Sami Zayn gets back in the ring and says, you know, Mick, I used to look at you as you don't even you're supposed to be the general manager, but you're listening to a higher power. You're not making decisions on your own. And then Mick Foley says, that's where you won, because I made that match last week because Stephanie McMahon does not like you, and after you failed to win the Intercontinental Championship to Raw, Stephanie McMahon wanted to have you fired. But I chose not to because I see something in you. So that's why I made the match. I made it as a punishment, but I didn't make it. But I didn't expect to go down like that because Braun Strowman is not a competitor. He's not an entertainer. He's not a wrestler. He is a monster, and you can't win. He's too big for you, pretty much. He was pretty much putting down Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn says, "How dare you? How many times have people told you that you couldn't do it?" And right now, and you used to be a hero to these people for those reasons, because you always overcame those odds. But right now, you're being a hypocrite. And, you know, pretty much he says that, and telling me that I can't do it, and I'm not going to allow it, and then he leaves. And then someone on the crowd says, you're speaking the truth, because it kind of feels like that this is Vince McMahon speaking through Mick Foley in a way, because Vince McMahon doesn't see it in Sami Zayn, so this is kind of a nice storyline for him, and I kind of like what the storyline that they're going with. I wonder if this is going to lead to Sami Zayn going to SmackDown, which I think would be nice, because I noticed that Dean Ambrose has been very tricky on SmackDown. Everyone's had trouble keeping him intact. So I wonder if it's going to lead to a trade with Dean Ambrose being traded to go to Raw for Sami Zayn going to SmackDown. I think that would be very interesting. So I hope that's the direction they go. Overall, this was a really good segment. I thought it was awesome. With the tension that they brought up between these two, I thought it was really good. And then Charlotte's backstage, and Dana Brooke comes up, and she pretty much says that she's been preparing this big celebration for her. And Charlotte says, good, because after I beat Sasha Banks tonight and end this rivalry once and for all, I deserve this celebration. So really nothing to it. Overall, I thought the Mick Foley segment was good, and the backstage segment with Charlotte was okay. Okay, so the next match is Cedric Alexander versus Tony Nese with Drew Gulak ringside. Thought it was an all-right match. Eventually, Drew Gulak gets on the apron, and Cedric Alexander takes him out with a springboard clothesline. And Tony Nese wins with like a pump handle slam, pretty much, and he wins. Really wasn't thrilled about it. think Alexander should have won. It was in his hometown anyways, so kind of would have gotten a nice reaction. But then again, it is in his hometown, so the WWE usually likes to have you lose in your hometown. But also, it's just like, I don't mind Tony Nese. I think he's an okay talent, but it's like, I think Cedric Alexander, there's more for him there. I think it's time to stop pushing him. Because you need to stop pushing more cruiserweights than just Rich Swann and TJ Perkins. So it's like, I think Cedric Alexander should have won. So just personal opinion. And then Enzo Amore and Big Cass sell WWE merchandise again because they have yesterday was Cyber Monday, so they were trying to get people to buy some stuff. So overall, this was all this average stuff, really. Alright, so next, Chris Jericho's backstage. And he gets interviewed and he gets asked if this whole thing with Owens tonight was just another joke or is this legit? And Jericho's like, how dare you? How dare you accuse that? Of course it's serious. And he says that just since you're a reporter, you want to have more. I'll give you this, that sometimes in this friend, you can only count the many friends that you have on your hand in this business. And you thought Owens was one of those people. But apparently, he was wrong. And he says that if Kevin Owens doesn't need him, he doesn't need Kevin Owens. So then he tells her to get out of here, and he was being really funny about it. Then he leaves, and he calls for his driver. And this is at the point he's in the parking lot. And the driver's like, sorry. He's like, when I ask you to open the door, you open it. And he goes to give him the list of Jericho, but he drops it. And then the guy's like, sorry. And then he goes to and then he picks it up, and then you think it's the driver saying, did I just make the list? And Jericho's like, of course you just made and then you see that it's Seth Rollins, and he tries to escape, but Rollins goes out the other door of the limousine, and he just attacks Chris Jericho, beats the crap out of him, throws him into a couple of guardrails that they had backstage, and he just continuously throws him into cars, and he tries to pedigree him on the concrete, and then Jericho fights out of it, goes in like the backdrop of him, but Rollins lands on his feet onto a car, and he pulls Jericho up on the roof of the car, and then he pedigrees Jericho on the roof of the car. I thought this was a pretty good backstage brawl, and obviously now they're building up to probably Rollins versus Jericho at WWE Roadblock end of the line, which I think is a logical step to go because you have Jericho who's cost Seth Rollins the WWE Universal Championship a number of times, so it makes sense to go in that direction. So I thought this was all pretty good stuff here. Alright, so now we have a Raw Women's Championship match. Raw Women's Champion Charlotte with Dana Brooke ringside versus Sasha Banks. Overall, it was an okay matchup. Sasha Banks immediately gets Charlotte right into the bank statement, and she ends up getting to the ropes. And then Sasha Banks takes out Dana Brooke because she kind of helped Charlotte get to the ropes and throws him into the steel steps. And then Sasha hits her crossbody from the top rope, but Charlotte kicks out of it. And then Sasha Banks and Charlotte just start fighting on the outside. Sasha throws Charlotte into the barricade over to the crowd. And then Charlotte gets her right hand in, throws Sasha Banks into the barricade, and pretty much just keeps doing that, kicking Sasha Banks' ass. And they both ended up getting counted out, so Charlotte ended up retaining the Women's Championship because you can't win a title off a counter or disqualification or on a tie. So Charlotte obviously did that on purpose so that way she could keep her championship. But then Mick Foley comes out and says, no, this is not going to happen with this rivalry. You guys have made this rivalry historic. You guys have had it been talked about all over the world. So you two are going to have this match restarted later on tonight. You guys can rest. We're going to have this match restarted later on tonight. And this match will now be a Falls Count Anywhere match for the Raw Women's Championship. So, yeah, there you go. Obviously, this was all okay. It's set up for the Raw Women's Championship match later on in the night, so that was okay. It's just, another matchup between Sasha Banks and Charlotte. I really hope that tonight is the final matchup between these two because we don't need to see this matchup anymore. It's been done to death, and just have a winner, have the feud end and die, and then move on. But hopefully that happens, and hopefully this Falls Count Anywhere step does just that. But we'll have to wait and see. Alright, so, actually, I don't really, let me make sure this was the next match. It was. The next match was Rusev with Lana versus Enzo Amore with Big Cass. And before the match starts, Enzo and Big Cass come out doing the whole stick. My name is Enzo Amore, and I am a bona fide stud. You know, all that. And a certified G and all that. And you can't teach that. And then they talk about how it was Rusev's Rusev may have beaten him, but it was on his luckiest day. And you beat me on and your luckiest day came on the same day as Lana's luckiest day, because she got to see how I'm doing last week, which obviously, if everyone doesn't know, you know what I'm referencing. Well, everyone knows what I'm referencing. And then Big Cass says, I bet they had a lot of great stuff for Thanksgiving, so I didn't know where they were going with this one. But first they start lifting off different Thanksgiving stuff. Mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes, baked potatoes. So Matt, how you doing? Corn, how you doing? Canned corn, how you doing? Corn on the cob, how you doing? Apple pie, how you doing? Blueberry pie, how you doing? You know, all that. And then they even said turkey, how you doing? And then they mentioned how and so they made some sort of sexual reference, but that Lana and Enzo Amore are gonna have sex. I think he said you're gonna put your turkey inside of Lana, which I thought was funny. And then he says, and this proves that there's only one word to describe Rusev, and I'm gonna spell it out for you. SAWFT. Soft. Then the match happens, and Rusev just takes off Enzo Amore's head with a clothesline, and then he just low blows him, and that was the end of the match. Enzo Amore wins by disqualification, and then Big Cass comes in before he can do any more further damage. I didn't mind the way the booking decision of Rusev just intentionally get himself disqualified, because at the end of the day, he really doesn't give a shit about winning the match. He just wanted to punish Enzo Amore for making fun of his wife, so I guess that's fine, but it's like, this is all just meaningless. Obviously, this is all a plot device, though, so that way they can get to Rusev, I think, versus Big Cass at probably Roadblock end of the line, which I think would be a good match. But it's like, you know, what? It feels like they just have nothing for Rusev either, so that's why they're doing this whole thing. So it's just like, yeah. But overall, I guess this was okay. I really wasn't like a huge fan of it, but it was okay. So that's just how I feel about it. Okay, so next, Mark Henry gets interviewed, and he was in some sort of WWE movie, so he was kind of talking about that. Titus O'Neil comes up and pretty much is upset that he's not in it, because it should have been his role. He was going to be in the role of Space Jam 2. And Mark Henry's like, look, I'm not having this conversation. And then Titus O'Neil grabs his arm, and Mark Henry says, man, don't you grab my... Mark Henry punches him in the face. He says, man, don't you grab my arm like that, man. So, yeah, that was just really just to promote Mark Henry's movie. I guess what I took away from this is that a WWE Studios movie is actually going to make theaters. It usually doesn't make theaters. I see if it does well. And then we had Rich Swann versus Noam Dar with D. Brian Kendrick on commentary. And overall, it was actually a pretty good match. What I really didn't like about it, though, is they really could have used this time to really do like a promo segment, really building up this matchup because they have a matchup tomorrow on the not tomorrow, it's actually going on right now, but they have the matchup going on the premiere episode of WWE 205, which I will be reviewing on my Wrestling Fortune 44 channel. And they're having a matchup, Rich Swann versus the Brian Kendrick for the Cruiserweight Championship. So yeah, so I will say I could have like cut a promo, really building up that matchup. Maybe the Brian Kendrick building up like his past, how he had to scratch and claw, and then Rich Swann fighting back. But no, they just decided to do the match, and I really wasn't a huge fan of that. But the match itself is actually pretty good. Noam Dar hits a takes out Rich Swann's knee, and he ends up going throat first into the ropes, which I thought was a 6 spot. And then he hits the soccer ball kick to the knee. And then Rich Swann hits a kick to the head while Noam Dar was sitting down, and then Rich Swann goes for the the 450 that he likes to hit out of the corner. But Noam Dog got the knees up, tries to roll him up for a win. Noam Dog kicks out. Rich Swann tries to roll up Noam Dog, kick out, and then eventually Rich Swann hits a kick to the head for the win. But what really I liked about this match was the Brian Kendrick on commentary, because Byron Saxton was asking him a lot of questions. Then the Brian Kendrick goes off and he says, "Look, I had to scratch and claw to get back here because I got fired for my own misfortune, for my own doing, for my own mistakes in 2009, and I had to scratch and claw to get back and my wife and my kid had no food. And I scratched and clawed to get back, and I worked hard to get back the Cruiserweight Championship, and all I see is you on Twitter doing nothing, and I didn't give up." So I like the way he really laid into Byron Saxton. Then afterwards, Corey Graves interviews Rich Swann, asks how he feels going into him potentially winning the Cruiserweight Championship, and then Rich Swann says, "Who is that? The Brian Kendrick I spy with my little eye? Are you out here to try to play mind games, or are you feeling self-doubt since I've already beat you twice?" And he says that the third time will bring him the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. And he says, "Because you can't handle this." So I thought he cut a pretty good promo. And overall, this was a pretty good match. But the Mark Henry stuff was stupid, and I wish they could have just dedicated this to have a promo segment with both the Brian Kendrick and Rich Swann to build up the match, but we didn't get that either. So, but the match overall was fairly good. Okay, so next we had Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens, where if Roman Reigns won, he would get an opportunity at Kevin Owens' WWE Universal Championship at Roadblock End of the Line. Overall, this I thought was an okay match. Kevin Owens attacks Roman Reigns before the match starts. And then referee has to pull him off, and he asks if he can go. Roman Reigns says he can. And Kevin Owens dominates the first half of the match, but then Roman Reigns starts to make somewhat of a comeback. He tosses Owens into the barricade. He goes to toss Owens into the steps, but Owens reverses it. And pretty much, and then he hits a running senton in the ring, but but Reigns kicks out. And then Owens just dominates Reigns pretty much the rest of the matchup. He goes for the running senton again, but Reigns is able to get the knees up. Reigns starts making his comeback. He goes for the Superman punch, but Owens rolls out of the ring, and then he hits the drive-by drop kick on the outside. And then he gets in the ring. Owens knees him in the head, and then hits a super kick, but Reigns kicks out of that. And then when Owens gets on the apron, Reigns hits a Superman punch, which knocks Owens out of the ring. And then Reigns hits a Superman punch off the steel steps, gets him in the ring. And pretty much Reigns hits the spear for the win, and that was it. Overall, I thought it was an okay match. Nothing fancy, but an okay match. Yeah, it was just okay. And obviously, Reigns now has his title shot, so this was a good way to set that up. So, just an okay match. I didn't think it was like a great match or a good match because they had better matches. And I thought Owens looked like a little weak out there, but as long as he wins at the pay-per-view, I guess that's okay. So, yeah, overall, an okay match. Alright, so next, Kevin Owens gets interviewed. And he says, "Are you really going to interview me right now? I just came through a match." And he said, "You may be able to still do your job, but my head wasn't in the game for that match. I was thinking about Chris Jericho because we're still best friends, and I was thinking about what Seth Rollins did to him." And he said that Mick Foley should have stopped that match immediately. And she tells the interviewer to get out of his face, so she does. Then Michael Cole interviews Paul Heyman, and this was really good. It shows the match between Goldberg and Brock Lesnar. And Paul Heyman was very emotional. I thought he really sold this really well. And he talks about how that they screwed up. This was fantasy warfare, and they didn't see what they got. They talk about how Goldberg speared Brock Lesnar, and he suffered broken ribs. And Michael Cole then asks him, how does Brock Lesnar take in all of this? And Paul Heyman says that it's devastating. Brock Lesnar's pretty devastated about it because now this is going to go underneath his legacy, where people can go back and watch it years and years down the line, and it's going to hinder him. And then Michael Cole asks, "What's next for Brock Lesnar?" And he says that you can look at this a bunch of different ways, and usually people either would fall, get destroyed, or they would use this to come back, to rise back up, to motivate them to do better, to achieve things that they could never achieve before. And Brock Lesnar says that he had Paul Heyman says that Brock Lesnar have something to prove. So if Goldberg's going to be in the Royal Rumble match this year, Brock Lesnar is going to be in the Royal Rumble match this year. And he says that at the Royal Rumble there's going to be 28 losers and 1 victim, Goldberg. So this actually got me amped up really well. I thought this was a really good interview. I thought Heyman, obviously, as usual, does a good job. I still don't think it was a good idea. I still have my reasons are still justified for Goldberg to squash and Brock Lesnar like that. Because one, they're just going to make up for it anyway, so it's like, what's the point of doing that? And it should have been a new style, so I still am against it. But I can't wait to see Goldberg and Brock Lesnar come face to face at the Royal Rumble. I'm questioning whether they should be number 2. Like if they should both be like number 1, they have the number 1 and 2 spots when they come out, just because it would make sense. Or if they should have Goldberg be on a tail, and then Brock Lesnar comes out and just annihilates Goldberg and eliminates him. Because I think that would be really that would work really well too. And then you can either have Brock Lesnar win the Thin or come really close to winning the Thin. And you could just have Brock Lesnar win the Thin and go on to face Goldberg at Fastlane, and then win the title at WrestleMania, or lose the title match at WrestleMania. So I think any of them work. So overall, this was really good stuff. Alright, so now we had the WWE Raw Tag Team Championship match. WWE Raw Tag Team Champions Xavier Woods and Big E with Kofi Kingston ringside versus Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. And the New Day make their entrance, and they actually dump cereal on the commentators' table. And Michael Cole was upset about it, but Byron Saxton was all happy about it, so I thought that was funny. And the New Day cut a promo about how they're 17 days away from breaking Demolition's record and becoming the longest reigning World Tag Team Champions and the greatest Tag Team Champions of all time. But before they can really finish it, Gallows and Anderson just come out, and Gallows and Anderson just destroy the New Day in the beginning. They take out Xavier Woods, and they take out Big E and Kofi on the outside. And they just dominate Xavier Woods pretty much the entire match. And then Big E gets the hot tag. He starts going off on Carl Anderson. And then he takes out Luke Gallows. And then he hits the spear off the apron onto Carl Anderson on the outside. And then they go for the midnight hour, but Luke Gallows takes out Big E. And then they hit a power bomb into a neck breaker. Gallows and Anderson on Xavier Woods, and Xavier Woods is able to kick out. And then they go for the Magic Killer on Woods, but Big E makes the save, and Gallows lays him out with the double choke slam power bomb. And then the referee kicks him out of the match. Well, not out of the match, but out of the ring because he's not the legal guy. And Carl Anderson and Xavier Woods continue fighting. Carl Anderson tries to roll him up and hold in the tights, but Xavier Woods reverses it and does the same thing, rolls him up, holding the tights, and gets the victory. So the New Day keeps the tag titles. It really wasn't a bad match. It actually was a pretty good match, but we've seen this match a ton of times, and we've seen it has the exact same format, so it really wasn't anything different. And the one question I have is, what happened to Luke Gallows in the match? Because he never got hurt or taken down or anything like that. He vanished for like a while, so that's my only question I have. Because like Big E was out after that double choke bomb, but nothing happened to Luke Gallows, so it was really weird. But overall, good match. I actually forgot a segment. Then Sasha Banks was backstage, and she talks about, and Bayley comes in and wishes her luck and talks about, how that's false kind of way of making history. And she talks about how you have to do this for, what she's saying, like after what Charlotte did to me at Survivor Series, and Sasha's like, look, This isn't about you. This isn't about me. This is about the women's championship, and it's about Charlotte getting what she deserves, because Charlotte has disrespected us. But most of all, she's disrespected her father, Ric Flair. She looked her father in the eyes and said that she was dead to him. And that's disrespectful. And she said that Charlotte needs a champion and needs a celebration, and she's dedicated her match tonight to Ric Flair. So, there we go. It was a pretty good backstage segment, so I forgot to talk about it, so I figured I'd cover it. Alright, so now the main event was, yet again, a WWE Women's Championship match, but this time a Falls Count Anywhere match for the WWE Women's Championship. And not just any Women's Championship, the WWE Raw Women's Championship. It was WWE Raw Women's Champion Charlotte versus Sasha Banks. A couple of questions I have about this main event. Like, one main question is, why the fuck would Charlotte not come out with Dana Brooke this time? Like, this match is a no disqualification match. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You can have anybody interfere. You can have anybody who you want interfere, and you don't come up with fucking Dana Brooke when it's legal. That made no fucking sense. But anyhow, this was a really good main event. We've seen it done death though. They did do some innovative stuff because of the stipulation they had, but a lot of this stuff we've seen. Sasha dives through the ropes right onto Charlotte, and then what else happens? They beat the crap out of each other on the outside, and they both knock each other down with clotheslines, and then Charlotte dominates the match for a while. She hits a backbreaker coming out of the corner, and then just tosses Sasha face first into the turnbuckle, and then she goes for the figure eight, but Sasha counters, and Charlotte tries to go for a roll-up, but Sasha counters into double knees, and then Sasha starts to make a comeback. She goes for the double knees that she likes to hit into the corner, but Charlotte moves out of the way, and then they both brawl on the apron, and then Charlotte hits a big boot right onto Sasha, and she hits her head right on the back of the apron. I thought that looked sick. But then Charlotte takes, like, for fucking ever to go make a cover. Like, she could have won the matchup, but she takes forever to go make a cover. So, you know. But then eventually she does, but Sasha kicks out because Charlotte took too long. And then Charlotte hits the natural selection right off the steps, which looked really cool. And Sasha kicked out of that. And then Sasha grabs a kendo stick and starts going off on it on Charlotte. She just beats the shit out of her with the kendo stick. But then eventually Charlotte's able to hit a big boot and hit a neck breaker on the floor. But Sasha still kicks out. And then they start brawling up the stage. They brawl up to the announcer's table. And Charlotte throws Sasha on the announcer's table, and Sasha falls off. And then Charlotte hits a moonsault right off the announcer's table, right onto Sasha. And because she was like off the stage. And Charlotte tries to cover. Sasha still kicks out. So then they brawl back to ringside. And Sasha throws Charlotte into the steel post, and then tackles her into the barricade, and then beats the crap out of her with a kendo stick. They start brawling into the crowd, and then the finish comes when Sasha puts in the bank statement onto Charlotte right into the railings of the stairs and the fans. And Charlotte just taps out immediately, which makes sense because that looks like that would hurt. And Sasha becomes the brand new WWE Raw Women's Champion. And it's a big celebratory moment. And then afterwards, Ric Flair comes out and holds up Sasha's hand. And this is the first time we had seen Ric Flair since Charlotte had turned on him months ago. So I thought it made sense to have him come out and do that here. So that was good. And overall, the match was really good. It's just we've seen Charlotte and Sasha to death. And now we're going to see some more of it because Sasha won, so Charlotte gets a guaranteed rematch in her contract, so obviously she's probably going to get it at Roadblock, end of the line. And it's like, I don't mind Sasha being the women's champion, well, the Raw Women's Champion, but it's like, why? Like, I'm gonna pull up the history. Oh, my fucking webcam. Of course it does that. But anyhow, of the Raw Women's title. Let me just get to it. Of the people that have been Raw Women's Champion. So Charlotte was the first. She technically was the first champion at WrestleMania. 32. Because it replaced the Divas title. But they count that as like the Charlotte's Divas title reign. Then Sasha beat her for it on July 25th, 2016. Then Charlotte beat her for it at SummerSlam. And Sasha won it from her on Raw. Then Charlotte beat her for it at SummerSlam. Sasha won it on Raw on October 3rd, 2016. Charlotte won it back at Hell in a Cell in Boston. And then Sasha won it back tonight. So they're really just playing like a hot potato with the women's title, which I am not a fan of. And it really just makes this feud lame because it makes it have to see the match again and again and again. And they have good matches, but the problem is that they're just doing them so often. You know, it's going to get to the point where no one's going to want to see the matches anymore. So they really need to, like, end this feud once and for all. And they have to end it at Roadblock, end of the line. Do, like, a 3 stages of hell match. Do some sort of crazy match. But it's like, where do you go? You did the Hell in a Cell stip, and that was supposed to be the ending of the feud. And what? You're just going to have... I have a feeling, again, that Sasha will defend the title against Charlotte at Roadblock, end of the line, and Charlotte will win the championship back. And it's just going to be... It's just going to suck. I like Sasha Banks. I think she should be a good Raw Women's Champion. But she should have been the champion. She should have held the title all the way, at least up to this point. Like, you had to literally lose the title, like, literally 2 weeks after she won it. It's stupid. So overall, I'm not a fan of the finish. Charlotte should have won this match, because if you keep because it ends the feud, they were balking this at the end of the feud, just like Sasha should have won back at Hell in a Cell. Sasha had no business winning this match. It's stupid. This feud is getting stupid. They have good promo to work together. They have great matches, but they keep flip-flopping the championship. Stop that. I do not like hot potatoes with championships, and they're doing the same thing with the Raw Women's title. And you know why they're doing it? Because they only have really 3 main women up in the division. That's Sasha, Charlotte, and Bayley. So this is getting stupid, and you pretty much just threw away what you did with Charlotte and Bayley. So Charlotte's just going to get an automatic rematch. I feel like they don't want to put the championship on Bayley, so they just keep putting it on Sasha, then Charlotte. Because Bayley should be the heel, and Charlotte is that heel. But it feels like that Bayley is being denied all opportunities. I hope they don't do a dumb dick decision and throw the fucking championship on Bayley, because that would be really stupid. Just stupid. It would be dumb. But overall, the main event was a really good match. But I just really don't like the finish. I mean, the finish itself with her putting the bank statement on is good, but it's like Sasha winning just really doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. So overall, that's my thoughts on the main event. Alright, so now it's time to grade Raw. And this is kind of a tough show to grade because I actually liked a lot of this stuff, but we've seen a lot of this stuff. I'll give you an example. The pre-show was good. I like the pre-show. It's good. The highlight reel with Kevin Owens and the whole way they did the whole Roman Reigns thing I thought was good. I like what they're doing with the whole Sami Zayn, Mick Foley thing, and Braun Strowman looked like a monster was cool. The Cruiserweights I thought were okay on the show. I really wasn't a huge fan of the Cedric Alexander-Tony Nese match, especially Cedric Alexander losing. And the Noam Dar Witch Swan match was a good match, so that wasn't bad. You had Sasha and Charlotte, the first match, get thrown out, which I didn't mind since that led to the match later on in the show. Rusev Enzo Amore was kind of pointless. Mark Henry's segment with Rusev was pointless. Sheamus and Cesaro and the Ball finally working together was awesome. I actually really liked that segment. Romans and Kevin Owens had an okay match. Michael Cole's interview with Paul Heyman, I think, was the highlight of the night. I really enjoyed that. And then we had the WWE Raw Tag Team Championship match, which I thought was good, but we've seen that match multiple times. It's been done to death. It's just kind of, it feels like they're just filling up time until the New Day breaks Demolition's record. That's what's going on there. And then obviously the Raw Women's title match was good, but like I said, it's just leading to another match, and the finish with Sasha winning made no sense. So overall, I thought Raw was an okay show. It did have its points where it dragged on too, like I really, but it had some good moments, so I thought it was an okay show. I'll give it maybe like a 7 out of 10 rating because I thought it was an okay show. It wasn't great, but it was okay. It's just a problem. We've seen a lot of this stuff before. We've seen Reigns and Owens in a match before. We've seen Charlotte and Sasha multiple times. We've seen New Day versus Anderson and Gallows multiple times. And another thing I liked on the show that I just thought of was Rollins, the stuff they did with Rollins and Jericho. But that's also leading to another match that we've seen multiple times as well. I still want to see the match, but it's like I want to see if they have a lot of the rehashed matches on this show. But I want to see like new matchups. I want to see fresh stuff, and I think it's kind of stupid we're seeing. We saw a lot of repetitive stuff on Raw, so I'm gonna give Raw a 7 out of 10 though because I do like seeing Sasha versus Charlotte. The club and Anderson and Gallows and the New Day always have good matches, no matter which variation you get. And Owens and Reigns had an okay match. They just had better matches, in my opinion. And the Cruiserweights were pretty good this week. Rollins is attacking Jericho. And I guess they're going to continue with the whole Jericho thing, so that's fine. So overall, Raw was a 7 out of 10 show. So now let me review SmackDown. Alright, so now we have SmackDown from last night. Because now it's midnight. Well, a little after midnight. And SmackDown looks to be a pretty good show. I kind of wonder what they're going to do because this is going to be the go-home show for TLC. This Sunday, I'll probably do a preview and predictions for it at some point today. And we have a lot. We have some stuff that's going to happen. We're going to get Dean Ambrose hosting the Ambrose Asylum with his special guest, James Ellsworth. Just why? Why do they keep shoving James Ellsworth down our throats? He's not good. As I talked about in my last episode, he's not good. He sucks. Get him off my TV. Only the Smokes like this fucking guy. I don't like this fucking guy, and a lot of my friends don't like this fucking guy. He's terrible. Get rid of him. Because me and my friend looked up stuff about James motherfucking Ellsworth, and he's only won like 2 titles, and he's been wrestling since 2002. Get off my TV. Ugh. I was on the Wrestling Roundtable, not the one you guys know, but a different one. And they say James Ellsworth has all this experience. He may have all this experience, but it ain't good. He's only won 2 fucking titles. I mean, I understand, like, you can still be good and not win titles, but that doesn't look like a good fucking resume. The guy's terrible. He's terrible on the mic. He's not funny. He's terrible. Sucks. Get him off my TV. Alright, then you have, what else? And then we're gonna finally get #1 contenders to the Smackdown Tag Team Championships. We're gonna get American Alpha, who won the tag team tournament from last week, versus Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton, which I think is gonna actually be a pretty interesting matchup. I think it could be a fairly good match. And I can't really think of anything else we're gonna get on the show. That's all that's been promoted. But SmackDown looks to be like an okay show. Let's hope that it's better than Raw, because they actually have a good chance because of the grading I gave Raw. So let's see if SmackDown can actually pull out a good show and really tie Raw for this series. But we're going to have to wait and find out. Alright, so now on to the pre-show of SmackDown. And we had the same people on the panel. And today was, yesterday now, because it's like 1 in the morning, was Jerry the King Lawler's birthday. And James Ellsworth says happy birthday to Jerry the King Lawler. He talks about, how he says happy birthday, and he tells him he got him a t-shirt for his birthday, and he says any Hall of Famer with 2 hands has a fighting chance. And Jerry the King Lawler hated it, and he had every right to hate it because the guy sucks. So, moving on. So then Beauty and the Man Beast got interviewed, and they talked about how Rhino was talking about how they're fighting champions, and that's why, and they're gonna be ready for whoever they have to face at TLC. So, and they announced that there's going to be a SmackDown Women's Championship contract signing match between champion Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss, which should be pretty interesting. So overall, not a bad pre-show. So now I'm gonna watch the actual show itself. All right, so we have the show itself. We had Tom Phillips, JBL, Mauro Ranallo, and David Otungo on commentary for this show. And the first thing that happens is we get the SmackDown Women's Championship contract signing. Renee Young was hosting it, and before she can really say anything, Alexa Bliss kicks her out of the ring and says, "If we need you for bad fashion advice, we'll come call you." And Becky Lynch says, "Speak. Look who's talking, Harley Quinn." And then Alexa Bliss talks about how Becky Lynch, how she used to think that Becky Lynch was a coward, but being a coward would mean that she would have to be smart, actually have to plan stuff out, but she isn't a coward. The only reason that she beat her in Glasgow, Scotland, was because she got lucky, because her foot was on the ropes. And Becky Lynch says, you remind me a lot of my nephew. You whine a lot. You're both blonde. And you both complain a lot. But the difference is that he's 4 years old. What's your excuse? And then she says, I have be the SmackDown Women's Champion if my foot wasn't on the rope. And Becky Lynch says, well, you had the option either to have your to use your foot or to have your arm whipped off. But at TLC, you're not going to have that option. So then she signs the contract. And then what else happens? Alexa Bliss talks about how that being nice doesn't get you anywhere, because she said that you're just like the people on Disney Channel. All you are is just not. You think that being nice and being hardworking gets you anywhere, but no matter what, there's always going to be someone better than you. And Becky Lynch says, being nice didn't get me to the women's title match at WrestleMania. Being nice didn't make me the first draftee on the SmackDown, and it didn't get me the SmackDown Women's Championship. It's because I'm relentless. And then Becky Lynch makes fun of her lips, and Alexa says, and she calls Alexa, and Alexa says that every time you talk, it makes me sick. And then she signs the contract, and she says it's Alexa, not Lexa. And then Becky Lynch attacks Alexa Bliss. She beats the crap out of her, hits a Bex Plus on her, and then she goes, beats her up in the corner. She sets up the table like she's gonna put her through it. She goes to Bex Plus her off the top rope through the table, but Alexa Bliss thumbs her in the eye and pushes her off, and Becky Lynch ends up going through the table. So and Alexa Bliss stands tall. So this just made me realize a couple of things. One is that this is probably going to be the tables match at TLC, and two, I think after seeing this on SmackDown tonight and seeing Alexa Bliss just get the upper hand again and again on Becky Lynch, I think Becky Lynch is going to end up probably just keeping the championship at TLC. But overall, the SmackDown, this contract signing was fairly decent. It just was really hokey and corny at times, but overall I thought it was fairly decent. I thought Becky Lynch was pretty good on the mic, and I thought Alexa Bliss was pretty good on the mic. But they did have a lot of corny jokes in it, so. Alright, so the first real match on the show was a tag team match. It was Dolph Ziggler and Kalisto versus The Miz and Baron Corbin with Maurice ringside. And this was actually a damn good tag team match. It was actually really fun. It was really fast-paced, and it was out of control. The heels pretty much dominate Dolph Ziggler the entire matchup. And Miz brings out a ladder on the outside, and he tries to throw Ziggler into it. And Ziggler stops himself, hits a jumping DDT on the floor. And then Baron Corbin tries to attack him, but he hits a super kick on Corbin. And then Miz ends up tagging Kalisto. He gets the hot tag on the Miz, and he starts hitting all his moves on him. But then Miz gets the upper hand, and then he drop kicks Ziggler from the outside and just beats the crap out of Ziggler, throws him into the barricade. And then Kalisto hits a drop power suicida onto Baron Corbin, and he throws Miz back into the ring. And then all of a sudden, Maurice throws Ziggler into the ladder, and Kalisto hits the Salida del Sol on Miz, and he's about to pin him, but then Baron Corbin comes into the ring, hits him in the back with a steel chair, and leaves. And they were hyping this up all night, that imagine what Baron Corbin can do with a steel chair to Kalisto, and one shot with this steel chair really just made Kalisto, like, he was in a really bad position. Like, he was shaking after this. So imagine what's going to happen in a chairs match with Baron Corbin and Kalisto. So it got me a little bit to look forward to the match a little bit, but really not much. So, but the ladder match I'm really looking forward to, and this match really did a good job of setting up those two matchups, and this was actually a pretty good tag team match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah. All right, so this was some pretty good stuff here. American Alpha gets interviewed, and they get asked if they're prepared to face the unpredictability of the Wyatt family tonight. And American Alpha say that they're ready, but they weren't ready last week because they had already won the tag team turmoil match. And then the Wyatt family come up and pretty much ruin their opportunity. And they say that they actually have some things in common with the Wyatt family because they have some powers too. They have some they both have levitivity. I think that's a real word, but they both can levitate pretty much. And Jason Jordan says that the question is eventually they're gonna have to come back down. But the question is when. But when Chad Gable gets in the win, he's gonna put he puts people's lights out. And he said that tonight they will become the #1 contenders of the SmackDown Live Tag Team titles. And then afterwards, the Wyatt family are backstage and they cut a promo, and Bray Wyatt says that American Alpha's downfall is going to be delusional because him and Randy are the top tag team in the WWE, and Randy Orton says, "For one time I was a little delusional, but then you saw me in the light. Now I finally feel like I truly belong. And tonight we're going to take care of American Alpha. Because we proved at Survivor Series that no one can stop us and no one can break this bond." And then Randy Orton asks Luke Harper if tonight he's going to do his part and take out Kane. And Bray Wyatt tells Luke Harper to send Kane back to hell. And then that was it. So I thought this was all good stuff. This was a good way to build up to the Smackdown Tag Team Championships #1 contenders match. So I thought that was good. So overall, this was all pretty good stuff. Okay, so next, Carmella was supposed to have a match. But before the match starts, Carmella comes out and said that she wants to give a message to John Cena. Now, this angle with whole Cena would work better if John Cena was actually on TV, but he's not. So, they finally come out with it that they were together, even though we've known that for years. And, you know, Cena isn't even on TV. But anyhow, she said that she wants to publicly apologize for what she's going to do to Nikki Bella this Sunday, how she's going to beat the crap out of her, how she's going to beat her up with a chair so hard that there'll be Bella twins coming out of her back, and she's going to rearrange her face so that way Nikki Bella won't want a wedding. And then afterwards, Nikki Bella comes out, storms out, attacks her, and Carmella's able to escape. Overall, it was all okay. I just really don't care about this feud, and I really hope it's... And I think by this Sunday it should be over, so that's like the only positive thing out of this segment is that they're finally going to end the Carmella and Nikki Bella feud and have Nikki Bella move on to something else, so that's good. Okay, so next we had the Ambrose Asylum with James Ellsworth, and it started off pretty bad, but then I liked it at the end, and you're going to find out why. So Ambrose comes out, and he talks about how he hasn't done one of these in a while. He even got his old carpet back. And he brings out James Ellsworth, and he asks him, you know, when are you going to get yourself some new shoes? Because those look like the type of shoes that you put on and you spray painted, which was too. And so then, let me mention, too, James Ellsworth, literally, I believe, a few days ago, just last week, was thrown off the stage and had a fucking ladder match where we had pretty much an ass kicking by AJ motherfucking Styles. Comes out with no neck brace and no rib. His ribs weren't taped up this time. Wow. But anyhow, I digress on that one. So what happens? My fucking webcam's being a pain in the ass. So Ambrose then asks him how does it feel to be a WWE superstar, and he says that it feels really good. And he says that he couldn't have done this without Dean Ambrose, and he says that he owes him one. And then Ambrose asked him, what does it feel like to have a WWE World Championship match? And who you rooting for this Sunday? And between him and Styles in this TLC match. And Ellsworth says that, well, I'd like to see you win it, Dean, but I also would like to see AJ Styles win since I beat him 3 times and, you know, his odds would be better. And Ambrose says, you have some, he's drunk with power, kids. And then AJ Styles comes out, and he really made this segment here. He says that, pretty much that, Ellsworth is, pretty much less than a dummy. You know, is pretty much worth less than a dummy. He's not as smart as a dummy, and he's not as strong as a dummy. And then Ambrose says, so you're pretty much saying that you lost to someone that that you lost to a dummy 3 times. And then Styles says, it's all because of you, Dean Ambrose. You're the reason that I lost to James Ellsworth. I really didn't like this part of it because they really were just using James Ellsworth to help build up a feud between Styles and Ambrose. Like, come on. Like, can you really not come up with them for a reason that they should feud? Like, come on. And then Styles says that he is going to destroy Dean Ambrose. He's going to bang his head off every one of the ladder. He's going to he's going to bend chairs over his back. He's going to put him through every table imaginable. And he's going to make sure that Dean Ambrose can't even stand after the TLC match. And then Dean Ambrose says that, and then he says to James Ellsworth that when he gets to him, he's going to disfigure his face even more, referencing the fact that he's ugly. And then Dean Ambrose says that you've made this way too easy, Styles, because I have this all up here. And it's been all fun and games now, but after Sunday, the fun and games are over, and I'm going to be standing on top of the ladder over your beaten down body as the WWE World Champion. And then Styles shoves Ellsworth into Ambrose, and then Styles beats the crap out of Ambrose, throws him into the steps, tosses the steps on him, and then he beats the shit out of Ellsworth. He hits him with a ladder, and then he sets him up like upside down on the ropes while he's outside the ring, and he hits Ellsworth in the back with a chair. And then he Styles flashed him off the bottom of the steps onto the floor and just ends Ellsworth. And I thought this was fantastic, mainly because Ellsworth got beat up, so that's why I think it was fantastic. But I thought the promos when the Styles and Ambrose were cutting on each other were pretty good when they weren't talking about James Ellsworth. Like, I didn't mind it. Like, it's not because I hate James Ellsworth. Like, they should. The fact that they were using Ellsworth to build up a feud is pretty pathetic. They're using it pretty much a jobber to build up a feud, which was pretty pathetic. But I liked when they were talking about like how they're gonna beat the shit out of each other and how they're gonna be champ. And obviously I like the attack, and you needed to make Styles look strong here just because he's lost to Ellsworth 3 times and he's kind of looked like a complete chump the past month, really. So he really needed to look like a strong. I still think he still needs to win at TLC, and I hope he wins at TLC, because it would just be pathetic if he didn't. So I hope that happens, and, you know, overall this was all fine. Probably not the worst. I thought that this was the worst thing on the show, though, but overall it was fine. Okay, so next, James Ellsworth was being sent away into the ambulance, and he was going to be carted away to the hospital, and Dean Ambrose goes with them, so nothing really to it there. And then next was Kane versus Luke Harper. And this was actually a pretty good match. Everybody talks about nowadays how Kane can't really go anymore. He's too old. He should just retire. Maybe he should retire because there's really nothing for Kane to do anymore. But Kane can still hang with the young guys, you know. He really stuck out with Luke Harper. Like, I thought he had a pretty good match with him. A lot of the things with Kane is he can normally work with guys that are either smaller than him or the same size as him, but can do like all the stuff that the small guys would do, and that's what Luke Harper's got right here. And at first they both start feeling each other out, and eventually they do the taunts to each other, which was cool. And Kane hits a big boot on Luke Harper, and this drives him out of the ring. Then Luke Harper takes control. He starts dominating Kane, and then eventually Kane starts to make his comeback, and then Luke Harper counters one of Kane's moves into a drop kick, and then he gets Kane into like a submission move, like a headlock, but not really. And then Kane fights out of that. He hits the flying clothesline, goes for the choke slam. Luke Harper counters, and Kane hits a superplex off the top. And then they both start brawling with each other. And then Kane hits the choke slam for the win. So overall, this was actually a pretty good match. I kind of wish Luke Harper had kind of gone over in this match, because to kind of show that he's kind of like a force to be of a threat to be reckoned with. Because the Wyatt family could look like a huge threat if they all just kind of started picking up victories. And I expect Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper to win. Well, Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton to win tonight. So it kind of would have made it look sort of like, hey, every member of the Wyatt family looked strong. This is kind of a force of a group that's forced to be taken seriously. And they still can be with the win tonight, but I really wish Luke Harper could kind of be like, because it feels like he's kind of like the job of the Wyatt family. He's a guy that always loses. I kind of want him to have some sort of big victory, but it's whatever. I mean, the match was still good, but I wish Luke Harper had won. Because Kane really didn't have anything to gain from winning this match. Luke Harper did, so overall good match, though. Okay, so next, Becky Lynch was backstage getting interviewed, and Renee Young asked her how her back is feeling, and she said that she doesn't care if she has to show up with ice packs at TLC. She's going to show up and kick Alexa Bliss's ass. And she announces that that Alexa Bliss has challenged Becky Lynch to a tables match, which I predicted was going to happen, and Becky Lynch accepts, and said that she's going to beat some sense into that little bitch. So, yeah, that was good. Nothing really too exciting here, but okay stuff. Alright, so the main event was the Smackdown Tag Team Championship #1 Contenders match. American Alpha versus Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. And overall, this was a pretty good main event tag team match here. American Alpha starts dominating Orton and Wyatt, so Wyatt gets pissed and just takes the top of the announce table off. And then they get back in the win, and Orton and Wyatt dominate Jason Jordan for a while. And then Jordan tags Gable in when he doesn't see it, when Orton doesn't see it. And Gable hits a crossbody from the top rope, and he starts going off on Orton. He hits the armbar over the top rope, and then Wyatt distracts Gable, and Orton shoves, Wyatt shoves Gable off the top rope, and Orton and Wyatt dominate Gable for a while. Wyatt DDTs Gable on the apron. Orton hits a 6 scoop slam on Gable, and eventually Orton hits a superplex on Gable, and he's too hurt to really take advantage, so this allows Chad Gable to make the hot tag to Jason Jordan. He really starts going off on Bray Wyatt, and he hits all his moves on him, the German suplexes and everything. And then eventually Jordan throws Orton out of the ring, and Gable takes him out on the outside. And then Wyatt hits the flying forearm on Orton, and he goes for the cover, but Gable kicks out. And then Gable hits a German suplex, and he gets his strap off, gets ready to hit his finisher, whatever it would be, by himself on Wyatt. But then the Wyatt's family thing goes off, and then Luke Harper pops up from out of nowhere. And he still sells the injuries of facing Kane, which I liked. And Bray Wyatt's about to hit the Sister Abigail on Jordan, but Gable hits a dropkick, and American Alpha gets ready to hit Grand Amplitude on Wyatt, but then Orton hits an RKO on Gable, which he did a good job taking. And Wyatt Jordan spears Orton in the corner, then he goes to do it to Wyatt, but Luke Harper pulls him out of the way, and Jordan goes into the steel post, and Wyatt hits the Sister Abigail for the win. So overall, this was a good match. It really would have worked so much better, though, if Harper had beaten Kane earlier in the night. Then the Wyatts could have said they dominated the whole night, but they played it up like Harper was redeeming himself from earlier in the night. And then afterwards, Beauty and the Man Beast get interviewed, and they said that they're going to come in ready to defend the SmackDown Tag Team titles. And then AJ Styles comes up and tells them, who cares about you? No one cares about the Tag Team titles anyways. Did you see what I did to James Ellsworth tonight? And then Rhino gets upset that they were interrupting him, and AJ says, hey, look, I'm trying to do an interview right now. And then he had Dean Ambrose say, hey, asshole, I think he said. And Ambrose just attacks AJ Styles, beats the crap out of him to end the show. And I thought it was a good way to end the show. And overall, I thought the main event was good. And Ambrose attacking Styles, I didn't see coming. Like, I had a feeling Ambrose was going to come out, but I was like, wait, he's not there tonight. But then when he actually came, I thought I didn't see it coming, and it was kind of cool, and it was a good way to end the show. So overall, good Good stuff. Good main event on SmackDown. A good attack by Ambrose. All right, so now we have Talking Smack, and we had Renee Young and Mike Mizanin on the panel. And if you don't know who Mike Mizanin is, it's The Miz, but he referred to himself as Mike Mizanin under his real name, which I kind of liked. And anytime The Miz would be brought up, he would refer to himself in third person, which was awesome. And he really killed it on the show. He was awesome. Dolph Ziggler gets interviewed, and he pretty much gets into it with Miz. He talks about how he asked like Miz, or well, I should say Mike, and he asked Mike, who's the Miz gonna get to interview? Is he gonna get Maurice to interview? Is he gonna get who's he gonna get to interview? And he talked about how Dolph Ziggler's gonna choke. And Dolph Ziggler says that he's going to become the new Intercontinental Champion. He says that he's going to be a fighting Intercontinental Champion, just like The Miz, and just like guys from the past and all that. And it was good there. Mike Mizanin even went off on Dolph Ziggler. He even said that Maurice was his favorite woman because she fights real matches. She fights in the Intercontinental Championship matches. And then Becky Lynch got interviewed, and she talked about how she's pretty much looking forward to a SmackDown Women's Championship match. She's gonna beat the crap out of Alexa Bliss. And then AJ Styles got interviewed, and he talked about how great it was that he could beat down James Ellsworth and what he's gonna do to Dean Ambrose at TLC. And that was really it for Talking Smack. I thought it was really good. Then Miz made this show really good. Mike Mizanin made this show really good this week. I thought that was great. And overall, a great episode of Talking Smack. And overall, I thought this was a really good episode of Smack. Well, I'll get to that later, but actually, I'll just say it now since I already kind of. But overall, I thought SmackDown was really good this week. I actually thought they did a good job at building up to TLC. They touched on everything that they needed to be touched on. They had some really good matches, like the tag match with Miz and Baron Corbin versus Kalisto and Ziggler. I thought was good. The main event was good with the number one contenders tag title match. Kane versus Luke Harper even had a good match, so that was good. And I didn't mind and I like the build up they did. I like the stuff they did with Styles, having him beat down Ambrose, and then later having Ambrose come back and beat him up. That was good. And I even didn't mind the whole Nikki Bella Carmella thing, but I'm just not a fan of that feud. So overall, I thought SmackDown was good. It really helped. It helped me. It actually helped make me a little bit more interested into TLC this Sunday. I'm still not looking forward to it that much, but it actually lifted. I actually would say I'm looking forward to it maybe now after watching this SmackDown, because I can't wait to see the TLC match with Styles and Ambrose. But I'll talk about that another day, because I am going to be doing at some point either later on today or tomorrow. I am going to be doing my preview / predictions for TLC this Sunday, and we'll see who is going to go over in each match, and we'll see what the outcome is. So that's pretty much it, guys. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and subscribe to all the other channels down below. That's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.